The drama surrounding the Chicago Sky has reached a boiling point, and at the center of it all stands Angel Reese. Once hailed as the franchise cornerstone, the young star is now being accused of quitting on her team midway through a disastrous season. And if you listen closely to the voice of head coach Tyler Marsh, the frustration spilling from his press conferences paints the picture of a man unraveling as his reputation crumbles under the weight of an imploding organization. This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about culture, leadership, and the unraveling of a team that was once expected to rise, but instead has become a cautionary tale of dysfunction. From the start, Marsh believed he had stepped into an opportunity that could define his career. Fresh off back-to-back championship runs with the Las Vegas Aces, the 36-year-old coach signed with Chicago with high hopes. He was given a roster that included Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso, two young talents who were supposed to be the foundation of a rebuilding era. But instead of building something special, he inherited a fractured locker room, mismatched lineups, and the shadow of a front office that seemed more invested in short-term optics than long-term winning. By the time the Sky sat at a dismal 8-23 record, with their season effectively over, Marsh's breaking point was inevitable. The flashpoint came in the aftermath of a humiliating 38-point blowout against the Seattle Storm. Asked about the lack of fight and the mounting absence of Reese, Marsh delivered words that carried the weight of disappointment and anger. He spoke of turnovers, missed assignments, and a roster that seemed more interested in excuses than accountability. But beneath the technical critiques was something deeper, a sense that his players, especially his franchise star, lacked the will to compete. For a man who came from a championship culture, the absence of discipline and commitment was not just frustrating, it was devastating. And then there's Angel Reese. Officially sidelined with a back injury since July 29th, she has become the lightning rod for criticism. Unlike other injured stars around the league whose conditions and recovery timelines are transparent, Reese's situation has been shrouded in mystery. No clear details, no consistent updates, and, most damningly, no visible support for her teammates on the bench. Fans and analysts alike have pointed out that while she's been absent from the team, she's been plenty active on social media, posting cryptic messages like, "in due time," while her teammates spiral through loss after loss. To some, this signals a player more invested in her personal brand than the fate of her team. To others, it's evidence of someone who simply can't handle losing. The pattern isn't new. Critics point to her time at Maryland, her transfer to LSU, and even her brief involvement with the unrivaled league, all moments where Reese has walked away from situations when adversity hit. For Chicago, it's become a nightmare. Last year's locker room drama involving Kennedy Carter was supposed to be resolved when Carter, the team's leading scorer, was released amid reports of conflict. But looking back, it seems Carter may not have been the problem. She may have been a casualty of the franchise's decision to build around a player who couldn't handle competition. Carter, once dismissed as a locker room cancer, is now thriving outside Chicago, throwing shade at Reese with pointed comments about missed layups, a subtle dig at Reese's dismal 42.4% conversion rate on attempts at the rim. Meanwhile, the Sky, stripped of their best scorer and with Reese missing in action, have lost 10 of their last 11 games and have become one of the least effective offenses in the league. Inside the organization, the rot extends beyond the players. General manager Jeff Pagliuca constructed a roster so poorly built it borders on malpractice. Chicago is saddled with aging veterans like Kia Nurse and Rachel Banham, players who no longer produce at a high level but continue to eat up salary and minutes. Meanwhile, young players with potential are buried, unable to develop. To make matters worse, the Sky don't even own their 2026 first-round draft pick. It belongs to the Minnesota Lynx. That means this historically bad season won't even reward them with a chance to rebuild through the draft. For fans, this isn't just a failure, it's betrayal. But at the core of the collapse is the culture. Marsh, who learned under Becky Hammon in Las Vegas, preaches commitment and competition. Those ideals mean nothing, however, when your franchise player refuses to show up. The absence of Reese doesn't just hurt the team's performance, it destroys the example for everyone else. Coaches can only demand accountability if the best players buy in. In Las Vegas, stars like Aya Wilson set the standard by playing through pain, supporting teammates, and sacrificing for wins. In Chicago, the star player has vanished, leaving behind only cryptic posts and whispers of a trade demand. For Marsh, who staked his career on turning this team around, the consequences are brutal. He is being judged on results he cannot control, his credibility dissolving as the franchise burns around him. The toxic culture was on full display in the infamous incident where Reese slapped a clipboard out of a coach's hand in frustration. It wasn't just a moment of disrespect, it symbolized everything wrong with the team. A player unwilling to listen, unwilling to be coached, undermining authority in front of her peers. Add to that her visible delight when Kennedy Carter took a shot at Caitlin Clark earlier in the season, and a picture emerges of a player more concerned with petty rivalries and her own narrative than the growth of her team. In professional sports, attitude is contagious. And when the player with the biggest platform carries herself with arrogance and selfishness, the entire culture collapses. Behind the scenes, the whispers are growing louder. Is Reese already looking for a way out of Chicago? Has she quietly demanded a trade? Her social media hints, combined with her absence, have only fueled the speculation. And while it might be easy for her to paint herself as a victim of organizational dysfunction, other teams can see the truth. They've watched how she responded to adversity. They've seen how she clashed with Carter. They've seen how she's carried herself when things fell apart. Talent gets you in the door, but commitment and character decide whether you stay. Right now, Reese is making herself a risk other franchises may not want to touch. For Tyler Marsh, the lesson is cruel but clear. Culture beats talent every single time. A coach can design plays, enforce schemes, and make adjustments, but if the locker room doesn't buy in, if the best player refuses to lead, none of it matters. He is trapped in a no-win scenario, tasked with building a culture around a player who refuses to be the foundation. And while his voice cracks with frustration in post-game interviews, the reality is that none of this may be his fault. Marsh might one day be remembered as a good coach undone by a bad organization. But unless something changes, he'll leave Chicago with his reputation scarred, another casualty of a franchise that has lost its way. The Chicago Sky's season is effectively dead. They sit 5 games behind even the lowest playoff seeds, their statistical profile the worst in the league, their fan base demoralized. Angel Reese was supposed to be their savior, the player who lifted them back to relevance. Instead, she has become the symbol of their downfall. From missed layups to missed games, from cryptic social media posts to whispered trade demands, she has left a trail of disappointment that even her 5 million followers can't ignore. And now, as the season sputters to an end, the only question left is how much more damage will be done, to Marsh, to the organization, and to Reese's own reputation, before this nightmare is finally over. The Chicago Sky are no longer just losing games. They've lost their identity, their culture, and perhaps even their future. What's left is a team in freefall, led by a coach who can't fix it, a general manager who won't admit his mistakes, and a franchise player who doesn't want to be there anymore.